Welcome to another episode of CirqueCast, and today we are here in Dallas, Texas for the premiere of Kurios. As you can see, we're standing in front of the big top, and we actually saw the show
on Saturday
2 days ago,
and then on Sunday.
But today is the official premiere. Just quick things about the show. It was my first time seeing it, and I have to say that I found Kurios to be genius, amazing. Is it my favorite show? Not yet. Okay. Not yet. And the reasons for that is because of the emotional factor that is missing that I give Jose and Lucia. But I think it's still a great show. It has that recipe to be the #1 show like it is for a lot of people.
Now, what are some of the moments that make it stand out?
I do have to say that I love how it starts. I love that that sort of parade in the beginning with the train and the musicians.
The train arrives.
Which we've seen you see it in Verikai and Lanuba, and I really like that.
But this prop they have a prop that sells what's happening. The train is arriving. Lanuba, they're just doing a parade. This is like they're all on a train. There's little towns they drive through. It's like it's beautiful. Right. So it stands out and already has its own feel
and
to
it fit into where the show actually starts, because you see the train arriving when the show opens.
At the 11:11 hour.
Right, 11:11, and yeah, so that's one of the cool moments I like. I also like the hand balancing act.
Oh,
that's something that I haven't seen on the Cirque stage. And I mean, it's the, like you like to say, the unexpected.
The unexpected. We've seen hand balancing done a million times. How do you make it new?
Another favorite part of mine was the Rollabola.
Oh, yeah.
It starts beautifully. With the Aviator coming out with Belladonna.
It's called Fly to the Aviator, and you see him take off.
Right, and then in the background you have the light with the bike, and they're kind of making it seem like sort of a film projection.
Yeah, they have a light shining through a spoke that has like a card in it, so it's making the sound. It's causing like the old framing. Oh my God, is it a magical freaking moment.
And then the Rollabola act starts, and I have to say I'm not a fan of Rollabola. They don't really entertain me, but this one definitely did.
Yeah.
Because he's swinging in the air while he's balancing.
Once again, how do you make something new that you've seen a million times? You add a whole new element to it. Boom. Back like you're seeing it for the first time. The very first time I saw Rollabola, blown away. Then it got a little stale. Back to blown away. They reinvent a lot of traditional stuff, and they bring a whole bunch of stuff you never thought you'd see before.
That's right. And
beautiful.
And I mentioned to you that I feel like Kurios is a complete show from beginning to end. You have that theming, that steampunk inspired, the makeup, the costumes, the music,
the props. Every prop has a reason. Like at first you're just like, I don't get the bike. The bike comes into play all the time. It starts the show. They get the power from someone riding the bike to start the show. Then the bike is in upside down by the delivery act. The chick's riding the bike upside down.
Right.
And then the guy is on the acronet on a bike, and one of the Curious bots is moving the Russian cradle with the bike.
That's cool. I did like that.
There's a lot of moments where all this stuff is there, and it's there for a reason, and they're not just reusing
details.
And they're not just reusing props because they have to. It all makes perfect sense.
And then you mentioned acronet. That act is just amazing.
Stills the show.
It's so much fun. Right after intermission, gets everyone pumped and ready for the second half. And I really enjoyed it. And we watched it from a little bit far, and then we watched it right from the second row. And it's still enjoyable regardless of where you're sitting. I know some people prefer to see it from the back because you get to see everything.
Yeah.
For me, it was,
which is acceptable.
I felt the danger a bit more being up front.
Oh, because they land and they're only so much high above your head if you're that. If you're in the first 3 rows.
With his head down first, and if he does not turn, he could die.
Yeah, the act. It's something that I've never seen. I see people on tramps, but not the entire stage, and not 8 people, and not, I don't know, 50 feet, 40 feet. I don't know. However, one of the fish gets so high to the top, and what he does is like this Superman dive, and he carries it the whole way. 40, I don't know, it's high. right to the end. The performer's name is Ryan, and he is just one of the best people you'll ever see, in character and on his in his act. Unbelievable.
Well, speaking of character, I do like the character studio in Kurios. I feel like it's heavily character oriented, but it's good. You know you have Nico with that accordion-like costume. Nico the accordion man. There you go. And he does a really nice hand puppet act.
Hand theater.
And then you have Clara. You know, she's kind of like
she's like telling you stuff. Well, no, she's like telekinesis.
Right,
she can I don't know. It's very up for interpretation, but she's like taking signals, receiving signals, and sending signals. Beep, 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 boop, boop. I just feel like these rings, her like dress is kind of like an antenna or something. Yeah.
My favorite part though is it's during
Upside down?
No, hand puppets.
Oh, hand puppets.
Where she is what's that instrument called?
It's called a theremin?
Theremin. Yeah, she's playing the theremin, and then there's a part where during the hand puppetry, you get like that disco.
It's like a club.
They bring down the disco ball, and she stops playing the instrument, and she just grabs the headphones.
She does like this little robot, puts on the earphones, and it goes.
And she starts DJing,
and it is so amazing. Every little detail is there. No one is just kind of standing there. Everything has a purpose, and every character has a reason why they're doing what they're doing, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. This show goes there, man. It goes there.
And then you have Microcosmos.
Once again, here's a character who also has an act that when he's up there doing it, you're like, where do they find these people? Like, these are the best performers, entertainers in the world.
And so, and speaking of Microcosmos, we actually had the opportunity to interview Karl L'Ecuyer, who actually plays Microcosmos. And so here you go.
My name is Karl L'Ecuyer. I'm from Montreal. We're circus based, and I work at Kurios, Cabinet de Curiosités. My character is Monsieur Microcosmos, big guy in the show, and also my background is acrobatics, so I jump in the big net that we call the acronet, so we can reach more than 40 feet in the air. Yeah, when I was young, I needed to do a sport, so I tried everything: karate, ballet, swimming. Swimming was really bad for me. I swim like a rock. So at one point, I started to do trampoline, and like an hour per week, and then kept on going. Started to do competition in my little hometown. Made it to my provincial team, then make it to national team. Went to world championships, and then when I finished university, Cirque called me to be an acrobat in the show called OVO. That was here in Dallas or Frisco 6 years ago, and that's how I started to work with Cirque du Soleil. And then on OVO, one of the Belgian clown, older guy, took me under his wing, and again I started for an hour per week. We would train together, and I would learn mime, I learned clowning, acting, and then I grew up into what I can do now in this show, being an acrobatic character. So my job is to do bigger flips, but with a funny face. I didn't have a plan in my life. Like, I didn't say I wanted to be an acrobatic character in Cirque. Just said I was in school, and my summer job was to do shows in amusement park like Canada's Wonderland or Six Flags in Montreal. So I would do diving, trampoline, and that's how I learned to do shows. And then when I joined Cirque, keep on doing shows like that, I was happy. I was flipping, and then I just saw this opportunity of outdoing a show and being something a little bit more than just a guy that do the flip can bring to the people in the audience. So that's why I just started going in that direction, and now being an acrobatic character, I'm really happy to where I've come so far, but I didn't plan that from day one when I was 8 years old doing trampoline. It was my hobby, so it's all about having fun day in, day out, and that's why I ended up here today. When I joined Kurios, right away I was this acrobatic character. So I had this part in the show to bring the story together. So we worked separately with the character to create that, but then my character was also in the net. So that we kind of used the character to create that story in the net with the fish and me being in a swimming suit. So you have a little chase within the number. So the structure for the number it's not built around my character, but we can have smaller stories within the number, and it helps us to play together when we're on the net or have fun or poke each other. You know, we have to have fun every day. Michel Laprise, who created the show, always defined my character as the innovation. He's like a big steam machine, like what brought technology forward. So that's a bit what my character is. He just steamroll in everything. He's bring technology, and he's like the captain of the character from the other world. So he comes in. But as how I see it when I play it, I see it as a bipolar, grumpy man that becomes happy for whatever reason, and so that's why you see him on stage. Oh my God! But then suddenly you see something beautiful, and he's oh my God! He becomes happy. Switch from one to the other. So for me, it's easier to play that because if I'm having a bad day, I just say grumpy a lot more, and if I'm happy for whatever reason, I switch to the other one. Somebody told me once, because I have somebody helping me with my costume, because the costume's so big I cannot zip the pants. And the lady helping me said to me that it took her about 3 weeks to see the difference between me and the character. Because yeah, we see each other backstage, we have the makeup, I look grumpy, I'm about to go on stage. And then she saw me in the artistic singing stupid songs, and I'm a really bad singer. I just invent words and fooling around and having fun. So she realized that the grumpy face she would see backstage and how I acted was not really who I was in life. Who I am in life is closer to the one you will see in the Acronet. Jumping around, screaming, making fun. That's where my character is on holiday. So you know, he's at the beach swimming with the fishes. So that's why the grumpy side is thrown away. Like the character is, like I said, it's bipolar, so he has a little bit of two sides. But when he has the big ball, he's heavy. But to go on the net, technically, I need to have a smaller costume. So that's why you see that they're called underwears. If you open my costume, it's called Microcosmos underwears. So it's like if I'm going in my underwears to swim with the fish. So that's why you get all the grumpier part, or is a bit out of the picture, because you know, anybody who goes on vacation by the beach is gonna be a lot more happy and smiling a lot more. You know, there's the sun, you see nature and everything. So that's why you see a bigger contrast within the character. But you still gonna get a bit of a grumpy face, or scratching the head, wondering, doing the hair. And then at the end, when the number finishes and I'm still looking for my hat, that's when the character comes back and starts walking and exit. The favorite part that I do in the show, the net, is really fun for me because I get this freedom and we're almost flying. It's the highest I've ever been on any acrobatic apparatus. Another part I really like is at the beginning of the show when we come down, I really feel that all three of us are just taking it over, and I feel that's really when the show starts. Like, okay people, now let's start the show, let's bring the train, let's bring the people. So inside of me, I really like that moment. But as an audience member, one of the moments I like the most, I would say, and it's the same for my wife, is when the book turned its page by itself. So the guy is just reading the book 6 feet away, and then the page just turns by itself. That for me was a beautiful image. Because my wife is also a performer, so we're not always in the same city at the same time. But most of the time we're all together, and we support each other. We go see everybody. I go see her show, she comes see my show, and she gives me tips on things she likes or didn't like. So we grow together our art and what we can bring on stage. Yeah, seeing my face everywhere was a bit. I was not expecting that. You know, when you create a show with Cirque, you always hope that you're going to create something that's going to have an impact on the show and the things around it. But I was not expecting to see the character take so much place around all the marketing of that. So, but I'm really happy because my father has a lot of souvenirs, my mama has a lot of souvenirs, so they love it. They love it. But yeah. But I think that when I don't have my makeup and don't have my hair up, you don't really recognize me. So now you see half a skeleton of makeup, but I think I'm able to be away from the character in my real life that people don't recognize me. So that's good. that's why it's unreal, why people should come see the show. There's this sentence written at the entrance: enter here to exit reality. That's why I would describe the show as unreal, because the idea of us doing the show is when you come and you sit in the big top, we want you to forget about your income tax, or did I lock the door, or what am I going to eat for dinner, or the idea is just for you to come into our world and just see things how we see it, where everything is nothing and everything's possible. Like a book can become a bird, dinner is gonna flip upside down, the fishes are flying with the fishermen. So you get all that, and that's the world we have created on stage. So I think that's why you should come and see the show. Just, it could be with your family, with kids, they love the show. Your grandpa's or grandma's gonna be super happy to see the story with the hands. And if you just want to bring a date or something with a beautiful glass of wine and strong mans flying on straps and sexy bendy ladies, that you're gonna enjoy. So yeah, there's a little bit of everything for everybody in this show.
Karl was pretty cool, and it's so cool that he's able to do a character and an act as well, and truly be an acrobat, because he's an acrobat, like he said. And I don't know if you guys can hear this, but they're actually doing sound check right now inside the tent. The music of Kurios, I thought was great. We did get to see Irene, who is retiring pretty soon.
She was with the creation. She's been with the show the entire time. I mean, her voice is the show.
So yeah, I think she might be doing just some other projects. And then from what we heard, the girl who sings in Hoya will be replacing her, and she's probably already here, I believe.
Yeah.
And then she'll be in Houston for sure, because Irene's last city is Dallas.
Yes.
But yeah, and then again, still talking about music. I love how the what is it, CirqueCast or Synchronized Chaos?
Yeah, Synchronized Chaos.
I like how it's a mess, and then you have the drummer, which is Kit Chatham. He's just up there, I mean, rocking it out. Like he loves it. You can tell he loves it, and that's something pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a few moments where he runs around and just startles the crap out of the audience as he takes his stick and he pings right on the end of the stage. There's a bar. And
loud.
And if you're sitting in front of it, which I have been before, it really shocks you. And he loves when he gets to hit those. You can just tell he loves his job. And then he's up there doing some hand slapping on the tables, and then he whips out some sticks, and he's like juggling with the stick, and then he's playing, because he plays around with the juggler. There's moments where like he throws over a pin and he catches the stick, and it's just really fun and playful. It's a great opening.
And we know he loves his job.
He loves his job.
Because he told us so, and we actually got to talk to him when we
Wait a minute,
Karl.
we got to talk to him too?
We did, remember?
Oh my goodness, I remember now.
Hi guys, my name's Kit Chatham. I'm originally from Atlanta, Georgia, but I currently live in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I am the drummer, assistant band leader for Kurios. I graduated from the University of Georgia in music education, actually. And then as soon as I graduated, I joined a Broadway show called Blast. I did that for a few years, and then I did a show kind of like Blast 2 in London called Cyber Jam. I did that for a year. And then that was 2000 to 2004. And at the end of 2004, I got a contract for Corteo. So I did Corteo for about 5 years. And then in 2009, I jumped over to join Viva Elvis. I did that for about 3.5 years. When Viva Elvis closed, I did Humanity and Mystere kind of part-time, on call. So I did that for a bit, and then they gave me a call for Kuza. So I did Kuza for about 8 months, but when they gave me the call for Kuza, literally I signed for Kuza, and then a week later they called me and they were like, hey Kit, and I was casting, and I was like, hey, what's going on? And they were like, hey, well, we want you to do this new show. And I was like, but I just signed for Kuza. And they're like, don't worry about that. If you want to do it, you can do it. So that was Cirque 2014, which became Kurios. So I did Kuza for 8 months, and then I jumped on board for this show, and I've been here for now 3 years. Kurios is definitely kind of steampunk. It also dives into this world and other worlds this scientist is trying to go to. But definitely a very upbeat, you know, show with the music and everything else. It's also very eclectic musically. So we have a lot of, you know, jazz, electro swing. We have some rock moments where I go nuts, which is I like. So yeah, I mean, and the whole package of the show is, for me, is great because everything works so well together. The costuming, the stage, the music, everything. So it's a pretty rock solid show. Man, every show that I've done with Cirque has been quite different. Definitely when you jump from Corteo, where it's this very theatrical, you know, emotional story. It's still my baby because it's like my first show, and doing 3 creations with Cirque, it's always fun because you get to get a little more input as opposed to when you're joining a show that's already created. So this is my 3rd creation. You still have it's great when you do creations because you get that say and it becomes a part of you a little bit more. Corteo's my baby. Viva Elvis, I loved it because I was on stage like 80% of the time and it's rocking. This show I get a feature, so it's also rocking, and I play more drum set. I'm a percussionist who pretends to play drum set. That makes sense. Yeah, the styles and the stories and the themes are always different. It's been a big contrast between all the shows I've done. Yeah, it's crazy. And that's the great thing about Cirque is like you can go, like even I've seen almost every show except for I haven't seen Luzia. But every time I go see a Cirque show, I'm amazed at like the you know, different things that they can come up with. Because I'm like, you know, even though they're dealing with a lot of acts and a lot of, you know, acrobatics that they use all over the place, they come up with new ways to do it. It's pretty crazy. My favorite part of the show is Rolla Bola, because that's when I get to hit the hardest, and it's very rock and roll. I mean, of course, I could say it's when I'm on stage and jumping around, because I'm getting too old for that. But it's like my back every day is like, I can't jump around on stage like I used to. But yeah, Rolla Bola is great. I mean, one, the dude is he's nuts. I mean, he's super consistent. And like the music with that act is just like, for me, like the highlight of the show. So when we get to Rolla Bola, even if I'm having like a kind of off day, I kind of get that rock energy going, all right, it's gonna be good. So what's going on in my mind when I'm on stage? Don't screw up, don't trip. And I touched on this getting older is like, don't hurt myself. I'm basically in like preservation mode sometimes, especially, I mean, the name of the tune is Chaos, Synchro. So the chaos part is right on, so I'm always usually kind of being aware of myself. So when I'm on stage, like I feed off energy of people, so it's kind of easy. It goes by like that. Like it's funny, like as soon as I finish the last note of the song before it, and then I walk through the train, the whole act really instantly goes by like that. When I get back in the drums for the Russian Cradle Eyes, I'm like, okay, yeah, I did this. And there have been times, man, where I've gotten back into my booth and I'm playing, and I've noticed like, oh, there's like blood on my drum. There's more blood on my, and I literally, I ganked my hand, and I was just like Dexter shooting blood everywhere. And I didn't even know that I hit my hand. So I'm sitting there going, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm sitting there, you know, trying to like, man. So what's going on in my mind when I'm in the booth? You know, it's kind of crazy because like this is the first show that besides, you know, Mystere and Zumanity, where you kind of, no one sees you. But this one they still see you, but you're still kind of in my own little world. Which is good that I do get a light and I get to play around a little bit. But usually, like when the lights are out, I'm like super like, all right, I'm very about consistency, and you know, I hate messing up. So you can ask the guys in the band, when I mess up, I get really ticked off at myself. And then I'll come into the dressing room and I'll be like, oh man, did you hear that? And they're like, no. And I'm like, no, but I did. So I get very upset when I mess up. But I don't harp on it. I'm like, also, I let it go, but I'm a perfectionist. What's great about being a circus drummer is that I'm always glued to the action. Even like if I'm calling the show, or even if I'm just drumming to the show, I'm always watching the show. Now, like for Viva Elvis, it was pretty much the same every night. So I could basically dial it in, just be like, all right, I got to pick up milk and eggs tonight. I'm out of Coca-Cola. You know, because it was all pretty much laid out and it didn't change. You know, here is still more of a circus thing, so things change. So I'm always glued to the action. So it's great because I always notice the details of like what's going on in the show. So even though I'm super focused on everything, I still appreciate everything, all the details. And honestly, it makes me see it more because I have to focus on it. So I see the guys on the acronet, they're jumping in flips because I have to accent them. Same thing with little nuanced cymbal rolls and stuff like that. I always have to, so yeah, my tunnel vision, it seems like it would be like this because I'm focused, but it's not. I have to pay attention to the whole scale. That's the great thing about, you know, live music. And even though we work with a huge like Ableton Live setup where we can play live but still have the technology, it's amazing. But there are a lot of times where if they're having issues like getting something, you know, down, or we have sections created in the music where we can vamp on it and extend it. And everyone in the band like knows like, all right, here's a point where it could, but there's also those moments where, oh crap, this has happened. Usually it happens when I'm calling. Like something happens that's never happened before, and I'm like, oh great, oh my god. And then you're in the mode of like communicating to everybody, which is again great because me, I feed off that like that energy and that like never knowing what could happen and just being prepared for everything. And I dig that. So, but yeah, last night we had to vamp a little bit, a minor little thing, but I mean, hardly anybody usually notices those things, and that's what's great about it. They're like, oh, I didn't notice that at all. And then we did a good job. Adding your personal touch is always a give and take with the music because you always want to be very respectful of the composer, and that's the great thing about being in a creation because you have a lot of dialogue with the composer. You have for instance, on this show we had Raphael Bowe and then we had Bob and Bill. Now Raphael Bowe is not a percussionist, a drummer per se, but he has an idea of what he wants. Now whether he can tell me what to do, it's not. So a lot of times I'll have a lot of creative freedom and basically demonstrate it to him, be like, all right, do you like that? He'll get back to me with feedback, then I'll come up with something else. So that happens it's like with Corteo, I had a lot of freedom with the book. The book meaning the percussion musical score. But with Bob and Bill here on this show, working with Mark Lassard, he's a drummer, which is great. You know, he basically came in as like, all right, I want you to play this for the foundation and then expand upon it. So I didn't have to spend all that time like, you know, going back and forth with the dialogue. I had a foundation, and he was like, all right, play around with it. So it's definitely a give and take because you want to put your own taste to it, but then you want to respect the composer. So usually you find that balance, and a lot of times where you find that personal touch is when you have like solo sections or sections where you can like, you know, that's actually your own. So it's again a give and take, but again like our job is basically to be consistent, to follow the action on the stage, and like to make sure that whatever we do highlights the artist. So that's the biggest thing. If it takes away or distracts, then we're not doing our job right. It's tough, you know, keeping a connection with family. We were just talking about like I have an app and a little machine where it shows me video of my dogs whenever, and I can throw them a treat. My dogs are my kids. My wife, you know, she's a musician too. She's a teacher. So we've made it work. We've been married for 12 years now, and we've been together for almost 20. We met in the University of Georgia. So she's being our teacher, we're back and forth. They'll come spend summers with me. I'm always like, whenever the show's dark, I'm back in Vegas. So luckily, it's tough. It's definitely tough, but we make it work. You know, her being a musician and knowing that like music is my life definitely helps that out. So she's very patient with me. Sometimes when I'm home for a long period of time, she's like, "Go back on the road. You're just not really." No, but it's great. I mean, definitely. You know, situations could be better no matter what, but we make it work. Doing something so many times. I think we're at show 1039. And it is like that. I mean, we're looking at the board that shows all the show. Yeah, after 1,039 shows, I haven't missed a show with Cirque yet, knock on wood, but I haven't had that thought of just like getting bored with the stuff because again, I always focus on consistency, being perfect on every note. But again, like with this show, things happen, you know, things change within the show, so you always have to be on your toes. So that time of getting bored or getting like that repetition just getting on you doesn't really happen much because you're always having to stay focused on that. there have been times where like, you know, you get tired. And again, when you get tired and fatigued, you know, like today's Sunday, it's our last 2 shows, and like everyone's focused on, I get a day off tomorrow, I get a day off tomorrow. But once you feel the energy of the audience and the fans, man, it's kind of like one of those things where the light switch just turns on. You're like, all right, I'm ready to go. Even like for me, like I'm not a morning person, and like for me today, but as soon as we hit the first note, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna be on, I promise.
So one thing I've noticed with a few of the cast changes is there's a new Mini Lily. And yeah, she does a really good job. She's a little bit more bossy and a little bit more in control, I feel. But the thing that I like about her the most is I can understand her speaking voice a lot clearer. You don't know, you've never seen it.
I didn't see
it was just her, because she's so petite and her voice was so petite, it was just like squeaks to my ear. First time.
She's definitely cute though.
She's extremely cute. But this girl, when she speaks, you can pretty much make out every word, you know, or at least I could. So I love the new Mini Lily. Like I said, she's more sassy. She feels way more sassy, and I love that. When she pushes the hand back with one finger. I mean, that's always been there.
That's cool.
But she does it with this like, it grabs me. She's so good.
She's going around like.
Yeah, and she's on the phone, and Miko's like, Nico. Oh, I thought it was Miko.
No, it's Nico.
I thought it was M.I.
N.I.
Thought it was
name, Nico.
No, Microcosmos.
Oh, Microcosmos. Microcosmos. I thought you were saying Nico.
No, Miko.
Anyhow. You're right then.
Yeah.
And then another cast change, Belladonna.
Belladonna, the one and only pimp of Cirque du Soleil. Jose did notice. He leans over and goes, why does Belladonna look like a pimp? And I never caught it before, but she's just glamorous. And well, the hat goes.
I do like the style though.
Oh, she is glamorous.
Especially during the opening. She's just like out there with Kit and the interaction, and it's just great. And you know, obviously this is part of the character. I didn't see the original Belladonna, so I don't know how she compares.
Yeah, I mean, that character is really good. The original one obviously was there for creation. But maybe this one's a little bit fresher, I feel. I haven't seen the show for 1.5 years, but I just feel that this one is really happy to be here and really doing a good job.
One act I didn't mention that I really liked as well as Bankeen, and I mean, I like Bankeen. We've seen it in other shows.
Multiple times.
Right, and you know, for me, Kidam will always have the best Bankeen act. But this act right here, I absolutely loved because of the dancing, the music, the moves,
the overall fun.
It's so much fun. That's it. With Kidam, it's a little more serious.
Well, I feel like lately Bankeen is just like, well, let's end the show with Bankeen because we don't have no other way to end it. This, like, is the perfect ender for the show.
But I feel like Bankeen is one of those acts that people are amazed and they're like, wow, and you know, that's why it's...
Yeah, but then it kind of loses its flavor once you've seen it in so many shows. You know, Zarkana for one, on that grand stage, it didn't feel so good. The way they interact with the crowd, because they go off the stage and do some moves back onto the stage. Like, they're not just on a stage, they move. And there's like, what, 4 or 5, like maybe 6 males and 2 females?
Yeah, there's 2 females.
And it is such an amazing chemistry. Everyone's up there dancing.
Especially that one guy.
Some people a little bit more get into it, but you know what? That's what I want to see. If you can believe, if you're believing it and you're into it, then I'm going to be into it that much more. And whoever the main actor is that does this, good job, buddy, because you steal my heart every time. I've seen the show 7 times now, and each time when it comes to that moment, pure magic.
And speaking of dancing, you did notice someone who danced on the stage and may not have necessarily done it before. And I'm talking about Facundo Jimenez, which plays the comic.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. I thought that I wasn't sure about. I hadn't seen any of the clown or parts of the clown act before.
Okay.
So I wasn't sure.
The one thing you didn't spoil.
Right. I mean, I would hear people say T-Rex. I heard people say cat. I had no idea what the Invisible Cirque is.
Invisible Cirque.
But I had no idea what they were talking about. And I have to say, I love the clown here, or the comic as he's called.
It's everything about his voice, his butt. It's just, he embodies that character. It wasn't written for him, and he didn't create it, but by God if he didn't make it his. He's a master at what he does, and it comes off really good because normally there's 2 or 3 clowns. There's only 1 in the show, 1, and he has the entire audience.
Well, he starts the show.
He's like a ringmaster because he's like starts the show, but he's also like the only like actual comic relief too. So which makes him the only clown, which is such a big burden. 1 clown, you know, the first act may fall flat at times. The little kids seem to like that one more. But the second act is so, I mean, anyone doing it, it's a great act. The way he does it, it is a untouchable act.
And also, I mean, it's, when you look at the first act, he is using props.
Yes.
On the second one, it's just him.
Yeah, the only prop, he comes out with
feathers and...
Well, he comes out with a raincoat, but then he ditches the raincoat.
Right, but I wouldn't consider that a prop per se.
Well, it is a prop.
But he's not using it to sort of, for that to be part of his act.
No. Well, yeah, it is, actually, because the people that were just on stage were the acro people, and they were in the raincoats, and he was just kind of blending in with them, like he was making fun of the Clara chick. He makes fun of it. He's so good at the phasing. Well, anyway, we could talk about him all day, and I think we'll have a little bit more on that later.
We sure will. But back to the show. Again, overall, I feel this is a very strong show.
In the Cirque world.
In the Cirque world.
What is it rated?
In
your humble opinion, not trying to meet anyone's expectations, how did it touch you?
You know I don't do that to begin with.
You don't, but I want to make it very clear that there's a reason why shows are special to you.
Right. I give Kurios a 9. And the reason why I give it a 9
solid
is because, again, it's missing that emotional factor that I absolutely love. And obviously, an emotion can be anything. I want a show to make me want to either cry because I'm sad or cry because I'm extremely happy. I'm happy watching the show, but I'm happy from beginning to end. It doesn't take me on a roller coaster.
Well, it takes you on
of emotion,
of a like a kiddie like park version, you know, not an adult theme park. It's a light roller coaster. It's there. It is there. There are moments of pure emotion and beauty for me.
Right. There are a lot of beautiful moments in the show.
But it's not what Curious is about.
Right. And it's not a show that's trying to be that. It's not a show that's trying to be, for me, Kuza or Luzia, which for me are just packed with that sadness. And
it rips your heart out, it pulls it right in front of you and says, this is why you do what you do for Cirque.
Which is what this show does for you.
Which this is, for me it's you know, the closest show after this.
What do you rate this show?
Oh, to me it's like, you know, it's a 10 times 10 times 10. But, you know, the next show under me is like 8. And that's Love. I mean, like,
so there's like a gap.
Yeah, huge gap. I'm not saying like shows that aren't that good, but to me it's just like Curious is that good. I don't know. Maybe it's because it is, you know, organized chaos, synchronized chaos, and that's kind of what I got going on here. So it's just nice to fit into a world. I fit into this world. I really do. I really do.
All right. And speaking of fitting into this world, I think maybe it's time to.
Wait a minute. What else? I mean, we've already done everything. We've gone backstage. We've had interviews. What else could we possibly do?
One more thing.
What?
We're heading to the actual premiere. And to see the actual, I guess, party.
On that note, see you soon.
All right, guys, thank you again for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode of CirqueCast.
What you knowin', what you knowin', what you knowin' all the down. What you knowin', what you